Welcome everyone to another episode of the Will Rock MMA podcast.
Well, what's up, everyone? So UFC 223 just wrapped up. This card could have been 3 times better. Unfortunately, a lot of 2 fights officially got scrapped off the card. So instead of us having 10 fights throughout the night, we ended up with 8 fights.
It was such a waiting time. We were actually at the event, and the event opened the doors at 6:30. The event was supposed to start, if I'm not mistaken, it was 7:30. I can't remember.
Right, 7:30.
It was 7:30. Yeah, so it was supposed to start at 7:30. The show didn't start till close to 8:30. I mean, it was close to 9 o'clock. I was like, "Fuck, man!" Like. So it was such a long waiting time that when the first fight actually happened, which was a pretty decent decent fight, I didn't feel the momentum going in there. I was just out of it.
I was a little bit out of it.
Too much of a waiting time.
You know,
way too
when
much.
you get there ahead of time, and you have to wait that long. You're sitting down, you're standing up, you don't know what to do. But before you know it, the crowd starts to pile up. People are sitting next to you. It wasn't the greatest experience. I mean, we've been to a couple of them already. This happens to be the worst, unfortunately. But at the end of the day,
it was the best seats.
Best seats for sure. The main card delivered for all
it's worth. The damn thing, you definitely delivered.
Word.
Okay, well.
But so let's get straight to it. So we got the card. It was supposed to start with Felder versus Iaquinta. That got scrapped because Iaquinta ended up taking the main event. So because of that, they boost up Joe Lawson versus Chris Grismaker or something. I don't know his name. Yeah. Now, mind you, we normally take shots during this time. If I pick somebody, you pick somebody else. But a lot of these fighters were all mixed up. So we really only ended up, I think, with 2 out of this card that we're going to be taking shots.
There's only 2 cards. There was fights that were promoted into the pay-per-view event because of the freaking craziness that happened backstage with Conor McGregor and all the craziness that happened with weight cuts and stuff. So so we would only be we're only going against each other for just 2 fights.
So let's just do a quick recap of this fight. Excuse me. Joe Lawson came in. He always starts off looking really promising. Like, he's getting it down. He's getting it down.
But if you recall, he went in guns blazing. Like,
he always
straight in.
That's Joe Lawson. Joe Lawson was known for submitting you, being a lot more technical. As of late, the last few fights that he's actually lost, he's been coming in there very aggressive and dies down rounds 2 and 3, and whoever's fighting him tees off, and before you know it, Lawson has a messy face, blood all over the place. He hasn't failed that in the last 4 or 5 fights. And that's exactly what happened with this fight. He just got outstruck, and unfortunately, he took the loss.
Yeah, I will say, man, I'm a big Lawson fan. He, like you said, he started off too early, ended up really bad. But he just doesn't have that within him anymore. It doesn't seem like he's fully, really given in there. Not to say that his training is wrong or anything. He's just not doing it in the octagon. And I will say, too, man, there's only so much of this that I can see him do before the UFC needs to be like, listen, man, you might want to consider the retirement part. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure he'll be an amazing jiu-jitsu trainer. But it's about that time, especially with someone like him. They gotta start considering retirement, man.
I agree with you, man.
It's sad. It's sad when you're a big name and you're fighting someone who's like still trying to make a name for himself, and then you get demolished.
Yeah,
he didn't stand a chance. It's sad but true. He just didn't stand a chance.
The next one was Sabit. I can't even pronounce his name. Matagardov or something like that. He was fighting against Kyle Bochmake. This is the best the best fight in the whole card. This leads up to the expectation that I expected it. Sabit everybody doesn't want to fight this guy. Everybody's dodging him. He finally gets a guy like Kyle who came in to bang.
Blaze.
This had everybody on top of the feet clapping. Amazing performance by both, but Sabit really stood out. I think he is the guy that really shined in this card, and I cannot wait to see this guy fight again, man.
All right, so a little background story to this fight. Sabit fucking broke his hand training in the back, and then he ends up going into the octagon, and that sucker was still throwing that right hand. But you could tell that the way he started to the way he ended was a different fighter. And I'm like, damn, he's taken away probably the massive amount of pain. This guy reminds me of Showtime Pettis. He is going to be a highlight reel waiting to happen, son.
I agree, yeah.
Waiting to happen. He did some crazy shit in the octagon. I'm really happy to know that this guy's on the come up.
Yeah.
And he trains with Khabib. Man, I can't wait. Like, I just can't wait to see him freaking develop as a true fucking big star in the UFC.
And Kyle, man, you got to give it up to him because
because of him, it was a show, man.
It was a show. I just wonder if he didn't have a broken hand, whether or not he would have actually knocked him out with all the right hands that Kyle took to his face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but he was Kyle was really he's punches.
Relentless, bro.
He eats punches, and he was a shorter guy coming in too, so he was giving that extra. But he just knew how to keep his distance. You know what I mean? The distances were wanted to fight, and he did a phenomenal job. Man.
He really did.
I'm really looking forward to seeing this guy fight again.
I agree, man. I agree. The next one was Renato Macianis versus Calvin Kattar. This is one of the fights that we picked last week, and unfortunately, I picked Kattar. Kattar got destroyed in that octagon. Tremendous performance by Renato. Really good performance, if you ask me. I'm looking forward to watching Renato. He's another one you guys got to keep your eyes on.
Yeah. Renato, I mean, there's very little that I want to say about this fight. It was okay. Didn't live up to the expectation. But Renato just totally... Oh, cheers, my brother. He was totally the aggressor in the fight. Kattar just didn't have it. You know, it's one of those things where sometimes fighters are really good. Someone like Kattar who's so good, he just didn't have it.
Yeah, I agree.
He didn't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I took the W.
Yeah, so you took the W on that one. The next one was Rosa Namajunas. I can't pronounce it.
Isn't Namajuanas?
Namajuanas, whatever, versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. What a fucking scrap! That's another really good fight.
So when you said when you said the Sabit fight, we took the fight, I'm like,
hands down.
Rosa and
yeah, they had a good performance, Rosa, but definitely one-sided. Joanna felt like she won that fight. I don't know where she guessed that she won that fight.
You know why she felt that she won that fight? She threw more. She
Right.
threw more. She
landed less. She took the harder punches. If you look at both of their faces, you can see that Rosa really teed off on her more than Joanna did. But on top of that, what bothers me the most is these are champions that go into the ring. Say what you want about Joanna. Yeah, she lost fair and square, but she's a champion. She's a true champion. But with that being said, it's like all these championships, McGregor, all these like really big stars in the UFC, they have way too many yes men around them, man. That's to say, if I was the coach and I see a fight like that, and then my girl comes out and says, Joanna, me being the trainer, Joanna comes up to me and says, "Oh man, I won the fight. Let her think that for the meantime. But the minute the refs, the ref pulls up the other person's hands, you have to let her know, man. Listen, you did not win that fight. You unfortunately came in there. You didn't strike as much as you did last time when you fought her. It was just a one-sided fight. I had like 4-1 rounds. I think Joanna might have won one round.
She ended up winning 3-2. That's what it was. That was finally called. I will tell you, you're not this. I personally felt like this fight was closer than what you're making it look like. But it's good. It's good to see that way, man, because there's two different perspectives on this fight. I thought it was closer. I still have Rose winning this fight. I think they scored it correctly if they did 2-3. But it's insane to see the way the evolution of women's fighting has become, and I'll tell you, I love it, man. Because
I can't believe how Rose's performance was amazing, man.
Rose is fighting at a championship level, and I will tell you, when Rose was gonna fight Joanna, I honestly, the first fight, I didn't think she stand a chance. I was like, you know what, she doesn't stand a chance. She's gonna probably try to keep some sort of a distance, but Joanna's just gonna run right through her. Obviously, it didn't work out that way. Joanna looked like she stood no chance versus Rose in the octagon. And this time around, even though I feel like Joanna obviously had a better performance because she didn't get knocked out, Rose just so calm and collected, so composed. Stood to if you look at her game plan, she did not change her game plan.
Not at all. All 5 rounds stood in front of her, going in, going out, going in, going out. Never really teed off on her like crazy at one point. She was still just jabbing away. You know, she was one of the people that were in the bus when the whole McGregor situation happened, and she was really struck. She didn't want to fight. She didn't want to fight. She said that she didn't want to fight. So she came in already heavy-headed, you know, with that whole situation, and she still performed the way she did. You have to really give it up to her. That girl, she deserves to be the champion, and she's one of the good ones in the sport. You know, she really is, and girls should really look up to her. If you love UFC and you're a female, that's the girl you want to look up to because she's so positive. She's such a great human being, and she's such a good sport.
There's this level of arrogance in that girl, and when the little of arrogance comes out on her, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And towards the end, she mentions like, "Well, you know, I'm just better than her,"
Yeah.
and everybody starts to crack up. But that's what the champion's supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's the way they're supposed to feel. But I will tell you, one of the things that I really, really like about about Rose winning this fight is that if Joanna would have won, let's say decisive, and Rose didn't stand a chance, not enough to give them a rematch, Joanna already ran through that weight class. Yeah. That's the only fight that really made sense for her, right? So the fact that Rose switched up the game now, so you're gonna start seeing Joanna fight the up and comers or fight somebody. Yeah. It builds up momentum, which is scary for Rose because Rose style to Joanna style made Rose win that fight.
Yeah.
When you put them up against these other fighters,
Andrade is next.
Dude, well, remember what happened to Andrade? You know what Joanna did to Andrade?
Yeah.
Walked right through her. But the thing about Andrade is that she's a wrestler, dude.
That last fight she has against Tecia Torres, she literally just stood up with her and started to take her down. And I think that's a game plan that she should definitely implement when fighting against Rose Namajunas. Although Rose Namajunas is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, great at submissions, I believe that Andrade is probably better than her.
Alright.
But anyways, that's the next fight for Rosa, most likely. Last but not least, we had Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Al Iaquinta. You want to go ahead? You can start.
Yeah. All right. So first off, obviously, let's just break it down just really fast. Khabib originally was supposed to fight Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson ended up getting a freak accident on his knee, ended up getting injured. He can't fight. Yeah. Next fight they put up was Max Holloway. Even though they called Ortega to take the fight, but then they ended up calling back Holloway. Long story short, Holloway took the fight. Holloway was supposed to fight. Holloway, the day of the weigh-ins, wasn't clear to fight.
Yep.
Now, I'm still a toss-up to me whether it was a weight issue or whether it's just a health issue as a whole, because if you guys think about it, he was supposed to fight Frankie Edgar not that long ago, and he ended up getting injured. It's the reason why Ortega ended up fighting Frankie Edgar. So, going into the fight, we assumed that it was going to fight Max Holloway. Max Holloway, for whatever reason, didn't get cleared. So then, I'm already about to lose. I was at work. I just had a horrible day knowing about this. This is how excited I was for this card. They end up saying that they're going to push Showtime Pettis, which in all reality I said, damn, Showtime Pettis. It was a good thing. I think somebody who can stop the takedown defense to an extent, because he's really been out-wrestled for the most part. But he has a highlight reel. Maybe he could make something of the show.
I thought the same exact thing. Even when we were texting each other, I said, listen, don't get crazy. I know it's Showtime fighting Khabib, but it's exciting to see a big name fighting this person, you know?
You couldn't agree. All right, so then what happens? The day of the weigh-ins, Showtime shows up, and he can make weight by 2 pounds.
Oof.
Not only can he not make weight for 2 pounds, but he was depleted to the point where they said, you know what, you can just not fight, period.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, granted, it was the last minute fight for him.
It really was, yeah.
So I get it, but for whatever reason, it just didn't work out in the UFC God's way, and they end up putting in Al Iaquinta. Now, let's talk about the actual fight: Khabib versus Al Iaquinta.
Iaquinta. Sorry.
Khabib versus Iaquinta. I apologize, sir. I was hyped for this fight because Iaquinta hasn't fought in so long, and he just came off a bunch of explosive victories that I was like, man, the only way you could beat Khabib is if you could land one clear punch to him and knock him out. I don't see him winning this fight.
When I found out of the fight, I thought to myself, we might see a first round knockout. Iaquinta could put somebody's lights out. The question is Khabib going to get caught? Is Khabib going to take him down? What is his game plan going in? I mean, normally we know Khabib goes in, takes you down, and ground and pounds you. He's the greatest MMA fighter to ever do that. I think we could now.
To that extent.
To that extent, to that level. But the question was Iaquinta going to catch him? Was he going to catch him with that infamous over right hand, you know? It turned out, it obviously didn't turn out that way for Iaquinta, but what Iaquinta did do in this fight is expose Khabib's weaknesses. And with that being said, we have to also understand that Khabib decided to take this fight knowing he didn't have training for Iaquinta. It was a last-minute fight. He didn't know what type of game plan Iaquinta was coming in with. And not to mention, the same thing goes for Iaquinta. What kind of game plan is Khabib coming in with? With that being said, I think Khabib showed the lack of stand-up that he has. Although he caught Iaquinta a couple of times, you know, Joe Rogan got blasted about this because he says that he believes that he has like an amateur stand-up game. Khabib does. And he got flagged for it, and everybody's giving him shit. And you know, Joe Rogan came out to apologize about it, but it's the truth. Let's call it how it is.
All right, I will tell you of bad. The fact that people are saying that bothers me. Now, granted, I can see where this comes from. I'm not gonna stand here and act like I didn't see the fight and like I didn't see Khabib actually not comfortable on his feet. No matter how you see it, the guy took this fight last minute. Honest to God, I feel like Khabib wanted to make this a fight. He realized that if he took him down, Iaquinta was not going to stand a chance, right? Mm-hmm. So he decided to stand up. He played into Iaquinta's game plan, right?
Okay, wait. Before you even continue, we have to remember, the first and second round, he ended up taking him down, right? Ground and pounding him for pretty much the whole, so he completely dominated. The third round, we have to remember, he tried to take Iaquinta down. He couldn't take Iaquinta down. He tried it again the fourth and fifth round and could not take Iaquinta down. So, I'm not saying that he didn't said to himself, you know what, instead of me taking this guy down, I'm gonna fight him, standing up. I really don't believe he was really talking to himself that way. I believe that he tried to really take him down, couldn't do it, and he had no choice but to stand up with Iaquinta. And that's when the fight got really interesting. I don't know if you remember that.
When the reason why it got interesting, it was because Khabib was giving Iaquinta a chance for something that he didn't come close to, man. Let's be honest with you. That's what he did. He gave Iaquinta an opportunity, a stand-up fighter an opportunity, and the stand-up fighter couldn't deliver. And if we're talking about bad stand-up game or amateur stand-up game, did you not fucking see Iaquinta's face? His left jab is so persistent. His footwork to some of the punches that he threw with his left hand were so persistent. Every left hand that Khabib threw landed.
Let me tell you something real quick. The first and second round, Khabib's face looked pretty much the same. Iaquinta's face looked pretty much the same. And that was from the ground and pounding that he gave Iaquinta in the first and second round, okay? You have to understand, Iaquinta's coming into this fight last minute, hasn't trained for a monster. Keeping in mind, he was going to fight Federer. He was supposed to fight on Fedor. He was supposed to fight him, a guy,
Felder.
Paul Felder, who stands up and he would bang with Iaquinta, and Iaquinta was going in thinking he was going to fight now. Last minute, they got Khabib. Now he has to focus on the takedown defense. You have to remember, yes, Khabib was trying to fight his style, but Iaquinta could have been taken out any minute with a stupid ass right overhand, a stupid move in general.
I don't believe. I just don't believe
that. Let me tell you something. Iaquinta gets taken down first and second round. First and second round, dominated in the ground for the most part.
Okay.
What makes you think Iaquinta is gonna think that he's not gonna be taken down again? So he after listen before you even get crazy. First and second round, Iaquinta gets dominated, punched in the face. Is pretty much why he had the face to begin with, right? That face he all bloodied up. Third round, having that in back of your mind, like fuck, Iaquinta would try to get up like 4 or 5 times. He couldn't fucking get up. Khabib took him down.
You said that already. Move forward.
No. But my point is, no. I did not say that. I did not say that. Did he get dominated? Dominated? Absolutely. But did Iaquinta try to get down and continue to get pushed down? Is something different. With that being, the reason why I say that is because you think Iaquinta came in the third round thinking, yo, this guy is gonna take me down yet again. You really think he wants to take a punishment again like that again?
No, he didn't.
No, so that's why he was a lot more careful the way he was doing the stand-up. He came down really low to Khabib. I don't know if you remember, he came down really low because he did not want to be taken down.
Yeah, which makes sense.
So his mind was thinking, fuck, I don't want to be taken down. The right hand had to come in at a really surprising time, because if not, Khabib would have taken him down. And I think that's where he came into the mentality starts to fuck with you. I'm more talking more like a fighter. Like, this is the way the fighter probably were thinking.
So the thing is that I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. My point to you, this is what you get when you fight Khabib. So for somebody, so for somebody to say that, and once again, it's tough because I was there and I saw him stand up, and unfortunately, when you're watching the event live, you're not listening to Joe Rogan talk. Maybe Joe Rogan might have changed my perspective on this fight, and Khabib's the way that Khabib performed. If you ask me, 4th and 5th round, he didn't even attempt a takedown.
Yeah.
And he still
did
on Khabib, but even if he did, even if it did, it failed on him, right?
Yeah.
It failed on him. So now he needs to stand up and bang, right? And he did that, and he didn't get hurt. And there wasn't a scary moment. There wasn't a scary moment.
There wasn't.
But that shows you. But this is what I'm talking to you about. I'm talking about somebody in that level, the performance, the way he fucks with Iaquinta's head, because Iaquinta. Listen, if it was a stand-up fight, like complete stand-up fight, Iaquinta knew he was not going to take down, yeah, that's fine. But this is not a street fight; it's an MMA fight.
Right.
So, with that being said, I don't think that Khabib showed his full potential because of the circumstances that he was walking into. Last-minute fight, didn't train for this guy. But I think one of the things that we have to take into consideration is that I think if you really forced him for a takedown, he would have found it. And I think he tried to put on a show for people, so he stood on his feet.
I don't believe that, but if he did,
that's the type of fighter he seems to be, man.
Khabib is a motherfucker. At the end of the day, whatever. Khabib won the fight. It was obvious he won hands down. It's interesting to know we have Conor, we have Tony Ferguson coming up in the weight class. All these fights are so interesting to see Conor fight, and unfortunately Conor versus these two. But even if Khabib fights fucking Ferguson, which they should, but they already failed miserably 4 times already.
This is crazy, man. How is this fight not ever going to happen again?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right now, McGregor's the only person that makes sense. Whatever the fuck he ended up doing to fuck up our UFC 223 card, at the end of the day, it was promotable, so now it looks like there's more beef behind what maybe shouldn't be so much beef. Yeah. Even though McGregor said that he was standing up for the Hammer, but at the end of the day, he just promoted this fight.
Yeah.
The next fight to make, unfortunately for Ferguson and Khabib, maybe it was just MMA gods that didn't allow this to happen, but he should fight McGregor, and McGregor now could actually hype this card up,
But let's not forget that Khabib did act for GSP in New York, and I highly doubt George St. Pierre is going to take the fight, but if he does, it's a spectacular fucking fight.
Yeah, but if he does, that means they have to meet at what? They have to meet in catch fight.
Yeah.
George St. Pierre is not going to go down that way.
No, he's definitely not.
But Khabib does
middleweight recently.
Right, but Khabib does walking welterweight. That would be a great fight at welterweight.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't think that's the fight to make. That's what I'm calling out. I think Ferguson or McGregor should happen.
Definitely not Ferguson, but McGregor definitely in Russia. Let's make it happen. Fucking the UFC gods.
Hell yeah.
I agree. Anyways, that was a big ass rant. Yeah, that was the end of the card. At the end of the day, everybody delivered. We were actually there. We enjoyed the fucking card. It was pretty fucking cool. Thanks for listening to us. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram on the Will and Rock MMA podcast. Same thing for Twitter. Same thing for YouTube. Any questions? Leave us whatever you want.
All right, guys. We're all set. Peace.